Guys, welcome to another video, and you've got Mr. Everything English, and we are doing paper number 2, question number 3. And this is the 12 marker language question. Now, how do you approach this question? What do you do? Let's go over everything that you need for this question. So, first things first, guys, this is the language question. And when it comes to language, we are talking about two things. We are either talking about language devices, or we are talking about verbs, adjectives, nouns, and adverbs. Now, can you get a high mark by just talking about verbs and adjectives and not mentioning language devices? Yes, you can, guys. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. AQA put up model answers every single year, and one model answer that got full marks, that student just spoke about verbs, because it doesn't necessarily matter too much about what you pick out so long as it's language, but it matters more about how you analyze and how you explain the effect of whatever you have picked out. So that is the first thing. Number 2, this question, guys, is very similar to paper 1 question number 2. The only difference is the marks, and therefore the marks dictate the time, and that may affect how much you have to write. So paper 2 question number 3 is the language question. It is worth 12 marks. For a 12 mark question, we are spending no more than 13 minutes, guys. 13 minutes is your sweet spot. And in this time, you are aiming to write 2 to 3 paragraphs. And the structure that we are following is pretzel. Now, this question, guys, it should be the easiest question on the paper, other than question number 1. This should be the easiest question on the paper. Why? Because we've literally done this already in paper 1. We've done it for question 2, where we analyze language, and it's the same structure that we are now doing again for question 3 on paper 2. So that is the bones of the question. Now, guys, let's go through how to plan, how to write a response for paper number 2, question number 3. So here is the question number 3. It says you now need to refer to source A only from lines 23 to lines 31. So the first thing you would do in your exam, you would go to line 23 to line 31, and we would simply put a box around these lines just to make sure we don't pick quotes from the wrong part of the text. Now, once we've identified these lines, we then move on to the question. The question, guys, says, how does the writer use language to describe, how does the writer use language to describe how he feels? And as I said earlier, guys, when it comes to language, we are either looking at language devices, or we are looking at adjectives, we are looking at verbs, we are looking at nouns, or we are looking at adverbs. So we can look at these two things, and it is a 12 mark question. And for a 12 mark question, as you all know, we are looking at 13 minutes, and we are looking at 2 to 3 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs is sufficient. Now, that is the bones of the question. Now, the structure that we are following, guys, is pretzel for this particular question. And how does pretzel work, guys? We begin with our point, then we find our reference, and then in our reference we find our technique. Our technique is either going to be a language device or one of these. Then after we find our technique, we explain the effect. And after we've explained the effect, then we go back to our reference and we zoom into our reference, and we pick out, in this quote, another language device and or another verb or noun, and so on. And then we explain the effect again, guys. Then we explain the effect, and then we end our paragraph by linking everything back to our point to show the examiner that we have remained on task. And now that is the structure. So we are looking at language, we are looking at lines 23 to 31, and we are looking to find how the writer, how he feels. So let's have a look, guys. Let's quickly scan. I was glad of the freezing blast of snow biting into my face. All right, cool, guys. This is the reference I will be using. I was glad of the freezing blast of snow biting into my face. Now, this will be my reference. Guys, this will be my reference. Now, Don't forget guys, we are following pretzel. So I have now done my reference. Now what is my point here? The question guys, we're looking at how does it describe how the writer feels. Now I'm gonna use my point here guys. The writer feels and agony. And as a result, they behave as though they are helpless. That is going to be my point when I begin to write my answer. Now, what technique has the writer used here? Guys, what technique has the writer used here? The technique that I am picking for this question, guys, is the technique of juxtaposition. Guys, the technique that I am picking here, guys, is the technique of juxtaposition. Now, why am I calling it juxtaposition? Juxtaposition is when you have opposite ideas, when things don't really match up. Here, guys, I'm saying it's juxtaposition because the writer was glad of freezing blasts of snow biting into my face. That's not something you're supposed to be glad about, but it shows us how much pain and agony they're in and how helpless they are, that they have no relief. They have no relief. The only relief that they have is juxtaposed because they are enjoying the freezing blasts of snow biting into their face. So that's my technique, guys. And then I will explain the effect when I write up my answer. Now I must decide what will I be zooming into. And for this question, guys, I'm going to be zooming in. Guys, I'm going to be zooming in to the verb biting. I'm going to be zooming in to the verb biting. And then I'll explain the effect, and then I will link everything back to the top. And there is my plan for my paragraph complete. Now, all I have to do, guys, in my exam is find one more example. Guys, all I have to do, or all you have to do in your exam, is find one more example, and then we turn them into 2 pretzel paragraphs. Guys, then we turn them into 2 pretzel paragraphs. One is done on the board for you, and if you're working alongside me at home, then all you would do, guys, is you would follow suit. So maybe plan the second paragraph, and after I've written the first paragraph, you may write out the second paragraph. So we are looking at language, guys, and that's how simple and how straightforward it is. Then we begin to produce our answer, and all we're doing, guys, is we're sticking to pretzel, guys. All we're going to be doing is we are sticking to the pretzel structure. So let's begin. Source A, the writer feels immense agony and pain. However, they are also helpless. There's nothing that they can do to stop this. Here, guys, we have my point. What was my quote, guys? I was glad of the freezing blast of snow biting my face. This is clear when the writer explains how I was glad of the freezing blast of snow, of the freezing blasts of snow biting my skin. That is my reference. Remember, guys, we're sticking to pretzel. Guys, remember, we are doing P, R, T, E, Z, E, and L. I've done my P and I've done my R. I've done my P, guys, I've done my R. Now I move on to my juxtaposition. Now, guys, I move on to my juxtaposition. The use of juxtaposition, and there's my technique. And that is my T now also complete. Now guys, look at how quick I'm working through the first half of my paragraph, the P, the R, and the T. Why? Because it's the two E's where I want to get to as fast as possible. Why is that, guys? Because when it comes to this question, you're not marked on the quality of your point. You're marked on your reference, which is my R. You're marked on your subject terminology, which comes through my technique and my zooming in. And you're marked primarily on your ability to analyze your effect. So let's recap, guys. In source A, the writer feels immense agony and pain. However, they are also helpless. There's nothing that they can do to stop this. This is clear when the writer explains how I was glad of the freezing blast of snow biting my skin. The use of juxtaposition, with my pen, guys, the use of juxtaposition highlights the immense suffering felt by the writer. They now seek comfort, seek relief through means which would ordinarily cause immense discomfort. Their entire coping mechanism has been turned upside down. I'm going to now jump to my zooming in. This is further seen via the verb biting. That's my zooming in complete, guys. That's my zooming in complete. So let's go back to the top, guys. Let's go back to the top. I've now done the P. Oops, guys, I've now done the P, the R, the T, the E, and the Z. I'm now moving on to my second effect. Guys, I'm now moving on to my second effect. They now seek comfort, seek relief through means which would ordinarily cause immense discomfort. The entire coping mechanism has been turned upside down. This is further seen via the verb biting. The snow is not calm. Where is it? The snow is not calm and settling. It is instead strong and attacking. Therefore, the verb further emphasizes the strange behavior of the writer. They are seeking pleasure through pain. That's my effect, guys. I'm going to end it there because I'm conscious of my space on the board. Let's end it, guys, with a quick link. As a result, it is clear that the writer considerable pain, but they are helpless. Dealing with it in an unusual manner. Alright guys, that's an example of a pretzel paragraph complete. The most important part of the entire paragraph, guys, is your two E's. It is your two effects. Now, that is how you tackle question number 3. Guys, that is how you tackle question number 3. Now, if you're aiming for 3 paragraphs, guys, you're aiming for approximately 4 and a bit minutes per paragraph. That is why my advice to my students is go for 2. Do 2 good paragraphs, spend about 6 and a bit minutes, 6.5 minutes per paragraph, but do 2 very good paragraphs rather than skimping for 3. But of course, guys, every student is different. So you do what you see fit based upon your revision and how much and how fast you can write. And guys, that is how you look at paper number 2, question number 3. The language question, and you want to aim to focus on analyzing the effect. All right, guys, I will end this video here. In the next video, guys, we are looking at paper number 2, question number 4, which is our comparison question. As always, guys, it's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.